Hello guys, Flanker is here. Due to high quantity of low populated servers and first wave of merges, many players are hesitating and don't know what to do, either to use their transfer token or wait for their server to get merged. In this video I will share all information that you need to make a right decision. As you may probably know, I moved from a low to high populated server around 2 weeks ago, and in the first part of this video I will describe the difference between them. In the second part, I will explain which factors must be taken into account while making a choice to leave your current server or to stay. Also, I will share some useful tips how to choose the new server wisely and how to prepare for your transfer. Feel free to use time codes in the description to this video, and let's go! The first thing that truly shocked me was a trading post and its insane activity. I was surprised when I started placing my first sell orders because many of them were completed in a couple of hours and sometimes even minutes. On my old server NAV, it could take several days. The market here is really crazy. There are offers and demand for literally anything that you can possibly think of. I noticed that the price difference between buy and sell orders is usually very low, especially for high demand items such as resources, modes, refining materials, and so on. As a result, it is harder to place a buy order for something and then resell it for a higher price, but at the same time, you can also fulfill someone's buy order without any significant loss of money and get your gold immediately. Apart from that, there are much more crafters and offers with high gear score items, and it's easier to find best in slot gear. Also, you won't have any difficulties with buying some rare items, for example legendary components for major trophies, and you won't have to deal with stupid people who are trying to sell an item for a ridiculously high price just because there are none on market. Last but not least, there are way more upgraded workstations, even in less populated settlements like Ebonscale or Requarter. On low populated servers, they are usually tier 2 or 3 because there are simply not enough tech spares in those areas. Another thing that surprised me was activity and speed of global and recruitment chats. On my previous low populated server, I could rarely see anyone making a group for Lazarus or Genesis expeditions because it was really hard to collect the corrupted fragments and there were pretty much no trains to farm corrupted breaches. On my current server, you can usually find a group within 5-10 minutes. Obviously, you will have to pay a fee because crafting a tuning orb still costs a lot, but alternatively, you can craft keys by yourself, sell them, and make some gold. Just make sure to keep an eye on the chat and don't miss the trains in Ebonscale, Requarter, and Shattered Mountain to farm corrupted breaches. Speaking of elite chest runs, a boring and monotonous daily routine transformed into something exciting. First of all, doing that with 50 players is much faster than doing the same thing with 20 people. Secondly, while doing that, you have a high chance to meet another 50 players from opposing faction, and this often leads to thrilling and spectacular open world mass PvP, which is something that personally I enjoy the most in MMOs. I came to New World from Lineage 2 that I've been playing for more than 10 years. That's an old game where 200 versus 200 mass PvP is not something unusual, and I'm really glad that I can feel those vibes once again. Many of those who play on low populated servers complain that it takes a long time for the Outpost rush match to begin. On some servers it doesn't work at all because there are simply not enough players who want to participate. After the transfer, I realized that I don't have to wait in queue for half an hour anymore. Outpost rush matches are almost 24/7 and it usually takes a couple of minutes to get in, which is gonna be very important when you will be able to get gypsum as a reward for participation. And after 2 weeks of playing on a new server, I can say that there is way more wars here. However, the demands for participants are also much higher, so if your gear score is 550, then most likely you will not see your name on the roster. No matter what the population of a server is, the quantity of nodes with resources remains the same. Therefore, the competition for them on high populated servers is significantly higher. If you come to any popular and well-known route, for example to farm ironwood in Eden Grove or oil in Weaver's Fan, then most likely you will meet one or multiple competitors even at night time. This often leads to PvP when players are flagged, so having your main armor and consumables in inventory and being able to change it quickly might give you an advantage. Another option is to find alternative farm locations and routes. They might be less effective in general, but the final amount of gold that you earn per hour will often be higher because other players will not steal your nodes. It took a couple of days for me to adjust to this server, and I managed to do it by changing my approach to farming. I will share it it in my next videos, and I think it might allow you to increase the amount of gold you farm in 1.5 or even 2 times. So make sure you hit the subscribe button now because I will not disappoint you. Now let's move to the second part of the video. Prior to making a decision about transferring to another server, ask yourself first, am I actually satisfied on my current server? If your answer is no, then ask yourself why and try to understand the reasons of that. Is it bad economy, total domination of one faction, no PvP, too much competition, or maybe something else? Metaphorically saying, you can't cure a disease without knowing a diagnosis, so answering these questions will allow you to make a right decision. This is a very important step because you only have one transfer token. If you eventually decided to transfer to another server, well, here are some tips for you to keep in mind. Make sure that your new server has not more than 15 to 1800 players online in peak time. In this case, you won't have to waste your time waiting in queues. Also, make sure that your gameplay preferences will be satisfied. Do you play 20 Outpost rush matches per day? Choose a high populated server. Do you enjoy mass PvP as much as I do? Same. Are you a casual player who doesn't really care about anything and plays for fun? Then consider choosing a server with medium population. Do the research about the faction balance and make sure that you will not transfer to a server that is totally dominated by one of the sides. Also, it might be a good idea to find a company on your new server before transferring. Apart from that, consider finding someone to check the prices on trading posts so that you will be able to buy something that is cheap on your server and sell after the transfer. Speaking of merges, the situation is the following. First of all, there is no way to know beforehand whether your server will be merged or not. Secondly, even if yes, you can't know what will be the situation on your server after the merge. In addition to that, there are no guarantees that everything will go smoothly and you won't face any problems or bugs afterwards. However, the recent feedback from players whose servers have been merged is mostly positive, and that gives some hope. So in general, if you are still hesitating and not 100% sure about transferring, then it might be a good idea to wait, play some time after the merge, and then decide whether you still want to transfer or to stay. In conclusion, I can say that a wise choice of server can significantly affect the amount of fun you get while playing New World. When I was on NAF, I had a strong feeling that the game is dying, but after the transfer, my faith in New World rose like a phoenix. I've said it multiple times and I'm saying it again. Despite all the problems, New World still has a great potential. If you play on European servers and think about transferring, I can recommend you to join me on server Bifrost. It is pretty balanced and great for both new and experienced players. If this video was helpful, please support it with your like and subscription. Also, don't hesitate to ask questions in comments or in game. I'll be glad to help you. I'm Flanker and I wish you luck in Eternum.